When you can't make it to City Hall or the school board meetings, local journalists from Duluth News Tribune will be there to report the facts and get your questions answered. Local news works for you. Stay up to date at duluthnewstribune.com.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Wednesday, May 17th. I'm Wyatt Buckner with your Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union's services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. As the Minnesota legislative session winds down, the Minnesota Hospital Association is pleading with legislators to reconsider the Keeping Nurses at the Bedside Act before it becomes law. Hospital leaders told state media in a call Tuesday they fear the bill would only cause further harm to the already struggling healthcare systems across the state. Patty Banks, CEO of Ely Blumenson Community Hospital, said after a high volume of patients this past weekend, it's more clear than ever that the staffing requirements that would be enforced by the Keeping Nurses at the Bedside Act would hurt the rural Critical Access Center. The bill would require every hospital in Minnesota to form staffing and nurse workload committees, as well as develop and implement core staffing plans. The Minnesota Nurses Association has been vocal about its support for the act, saying the bill was designed to address the nursing shortage and retention crisis. M&A leaders have asked Governor Tim Walz to sign the bill into law as written. However, Minnesota hospitals strongly oppose this outcome. A letter signed by leaders at every nonprofit hospital in the state, including Essentia Health and St. Luke's in Duluth, was sent to legislators last week, warning them of the consequences this law could have on healthcare. Rachel Schultz, president and CEO of Winona Health, said all hospitals have shortages, but there aren't enough nurses out there to fill all the open positions. Nursing programs are not filling up, so there aren't enough resources in the labor pool. Mayo Clinic, which said it would withdraw billions of dollars worth of state investments if the bill passed, could possibly be exempt from its requirements, DFL House Speaker Melissa Hortman told WCCO TV on Sunday. Some rural hospital leaders said that exception would be troubling if it was not available to every hospital. Minnesota Nurses Association members have been participating in a sit-in at the state capitol and plan to continue to do so until Governor Walz signs the bill into law as written. Phone messages between two coworkers prompted a felony drug charge against one after the other was found dead of an overdose. Justin Arthur Ward, 43 of Duluth, faces one count of conspiracy to deliver fentanyl. He made his initial appearance in Douglas County Circuit Court on Friday. A $10,000 signature bond was set for Ward, and he was ordered not to possess or use a controlled substance or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. A man Ward worked with in Superior was found dead at a residence in Silver Bay, Minnesota. An autopsy revealed the cause of death was the toxic effects of fentanyl and methamphetamine, according to the criminal complaint. The Lake County Sheriff's Office analyzed the man's phone and discovered a substantial amount of drug-related activity. Ward was one of the people who the victim communicated with about drugs, according to the complaint. The message history between the two reportedly spans from November 2021 until 3 days before the victim died in April 2022. The alleged drug exchanges involved the victim supplying pinks, the slang term for pink Oxycontin pills, to Ward, and Ward replying blues, or blue guys, which refers to fentanyl in blue pill form, to the victim. When interviewed by Von Gortz in September, Ward reportedly admitted that he sold drugs to the victim and acknowledged they would essentially share pills. It was normal for drug exchanges to occur at their Superior workplace, Ward told the detective, and the deals were frequently arranged by text. They would put pills and cash in each other's work lockers to be collected later, Ward told the detective. He would also leave pills in a cigarette pack in the victim's truck at work. The Class E felony carries a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison and a fine of up to $50,000. Ward's next court appearance was set for May 24th. Now here's Dan Williamson with a special guest.
Thanks, Wyatt. I'm here with one of our colleagues, Duluth News Tribune arts and entertainment reporter Jay Gabler. And Jay, you're working on a story that we'll be able to read in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. We'll also be able to see it online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. We're talking about an anniversary, 10 years of Bent Paddle. What more can you tell us?
Knew this was going to be a big one. Bent Paddle has become such an important business in Duluth over the past 10 years since it opened up in Lincoln Park. So I sat down with the 4 co-founders of Bent Paddle who are still with the company and still just as passionate about their product, about their business as the day they opened.
As far as takeaways go, what was your biggest takeaway from this?
I think looking back now, it may seem almost inevitable that the Bent Paddle story has unfolded the way that it has, that they would open in Lincoln Park with this really cool tap room, and that the neighborhood would become a mecca for craft businesses and one of Duluth's top tourist attractions. But boy, none of it was inevitable when you go back to the beginning. The founders say that they came up with their business model before the Surly Bill passed, meaning before breweries were allowed to sell beer from tap rooms on their premises. So they had to scramble and change their business model before they even opened to add a tap room. And they say they chose their Lincoln Park location because that was just the right building for them. They thought, well, it's kind of close to downtown Canal Park. People will probably find it. But then once they were there, they started collaborating with other businesses in the neighborhood to brand what we now know as the Lincoln Park Craft District.
As far as our audience goes, what do you hope they take away from your story?
One of the things that the founders said to me is, we're not as big as we seem. And I thought that was an interesting observation to make, given that Bent Paddle has such a prominent brand locally. So many people have heard of Bent Paddle. You see it when you're driving in or out on the freeway. You may feel like it's just this huge local business. And certainly it's a very successful brewery by any standard. But it's still, a family business. They're smaller than other breweries, including Castle Danger, much smaller than a brewery like Summit down in St. Paul. And craft beer is, popular as it is now and as ubiquitous as it may seem in Duluth, is still less than a fifth of the market, the founders told me. And so they just wanted to emphasize that as successful as they've been and as proud as they are of what they've achieved, it's still a, family business. They're engaged with the community. They open their doors every day to welcome people in, and they want to know what people think of their beer and their business. And if you're looking for an excuse to stop by, you've got one this Saturday when they're celebrating their annual Festiversary at Bent Paddle. It's a big music show and party celebrating the brewery's birthday. They do it every year, but this one's going to be bigger than ever because, after all, you only turn 10 once.
Very true. Very cool as well. Jay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, you can read Jay's article in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. You can also find it online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought to you by the Superior Telegram's history podcast, Archive Dive.
Good morning. This forecast for the greater Duluth area. Chilly start to the day, but it'll end up being mostly sunny, with temperatures warming into the low to mid-60s this afternoon. Southeast winds around 5 to 10 miles an hour. Tonight, a slight chance of some showers developing late tonight. Better chance of rain on Thursday. Low tonight likely in the mid-40s, and then with scattered showers on Thursday, look for a high temperature in the mid-60s. The winds on Thursday out of the south, switching to the west around 15 to 25. Turning cooler again on Friday with a few scattered showers, high temps only in the 50s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist John Wheeler.
Thank you to Archive Dive for their support. The monthly history podcast, hosted by Superior Telegram reporter Maria Lockwood, dips into the archives of historic events, people, and places around Superior and Douglas County. You can find the latest episode of Archive Dive at superiortelegram.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Laura Butterbrodt, Maria Lockwood, and Jay Gabler. Thank you for listening to the Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.